never thought I'd be telling this story. Honestly, I still don't know if I'm crazy or if what happened was real, but I have to get it out. Maybe it'll help me make sense of it. It started as just a normal camping trip. 4 of us, me, Jake, Sarah and Mike, we decided to get away from the city, go deep into the national forest. No cell service, no distractions, just nature. We wanted to disconnect. We drove for hours until the road ended. Then we hiked in, carrying our backpacks, tents, and enough food for a weekend. The forest was thick and the air smelled like pine and earth. It was peaceful, beautiful even. We found a clearing by a small creek and set up camp. We spent the first day exploring, joking around, and making a fire. At night, the forest was alive with sounds. Crickets, owls, the rustle of leaves. Nothing felt wrong, but on the second night, things changed. It started with the whispers. I was the last to fall asleep. I swear I heard someone whispering my name just outside the tent. I thought maybe it was Jake or Sarah messing around, so I called out. No answer. The whispers grew louder. It wasn't like a voice, more like a breath, a hiss, something I couldn't understand. I woke the others. We all listened, but the forest was silent again, just the wind. We laughed it off, said it was probably an animal or the wind playing tricks. But then, Mike was gone. We woke up that morning and he wasn't there. His sleeping bag was empty. His stuff was packed. No sign of struggle, no footprints leading away, nothing. We called his name. Nothing. We searched around the campsite and the nearby woods. The forest seemed to close in around us, thick trees, shadows stretching longer than they should. Then we saw the carvings. Strange symbols scratched into the bark of several trees near the creek. Jagged lines, circles, shapes that made no sense to us, but they looked old and fresh at the same time. Sarah felt uneasy. She said the symbols gave her chills, like they were warning us. We decided to stay together and wait for Mike to come back, but night fell fast, and with it, the whispers returned, this time louder, right outside the tents. Sometimes I thought I caught a glimpse of a figure standing just beyond the firelight. We wanted to leave. We really did. But the petback seemed unfamiliar, like the forest had rearranged itself. Every direction looked the same, trees everywhere. No signs, no trails. The fear settled deep in our bones. The third night was worse. The whispers turned into voices, not calling our names anymore, but talking. Laughing softly, a voice like an old man, cracking and cold. I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing footsteps circling our camp. Jake swore he saw eyes watching us from the darkness. And then something touched my arm. I jerked awake. No one was there. We stayed as quiet as we could, clutching each other's hands, hoping the morning would come. When dawn finally broke, we found more carvings, this time arranged in a circle around our tents. The shapes seemed to glow faintly in the early light. Jake said it looked like a warning or a trap. We decided to split up and look for Mike, hoping one of us would find a clue. I walked north, Sarah went east, Jake stayed south. I barely made it a few steps before I heard a scream. It was Sarah. I ran towards her voice, heart pounding. I found her trembling by a large tree. She was staring at the bark, which was covered in those symbols, but underneath there were scratches, like someone tried to claw their way out. Sarah told me she saw Mike, but he wasn't himself. His eyes were dark, hollow. He whispered something I didn't understand before disappearing into the woods. I tried to follow, but the forest swallowed him again. We never found Mike. We made it out a day later, stumbling onto a ranger's trail by some miracle. The forest seemed calm, normal, like nothing had happened, but I still hear those whispers sometimes, especially when I'm alone at night. I wonder what those symbols meant and what happened to Mike. Sometimes I think the forest took him, and maybe it wants me next. So if you ever go camping deep in the woods, listen closely, because sometimes the trees aren't just trees, and the whispers aren't just wind.